I'm sure you've heard of a polygraph or lie detector test before. It's become a popular cultural icon. Used in crime dramas to movies to advertisements, the picture of a polygraph pen moving across on a screen is a widely recognized symbol. However, the way a polygraph works is not so clean-cut. A polygraph machine cannot simply detect lies. Rather, a polygraph machine records the reactions or the signals of a person when they answer certain questions. For centuries, people have sought a reliable way to detect lies. In ancient Hindu and Chinese civilizations, lies were detected by asking the suspect to chew a grain of rice and spit it out. In China, a dry grain of rice would be indicative of the dry mouth of a liar. In India, if the rice got stuck to the roof of the mouth, it was a sign of guiltiness. Cardiovascular activity was the first sign to be associated with lying. A 19th century Italian criminologist, Cesare Lombroso, noted an increase in the subject's blood pressure and heart rate when the subject was being untruthful. Then, in the early 1900s, some studies suggested that the ratio of inhaling and exhaling changes when a person lies. Using this theory, along with Lombroso's conclusions, John Larson, a medical student working for the Berkeley Police Department, invented the first polygraph in 1921. This machine simultaneously traced a subject's blood pressure and respiration. In the later 1920s, Leonard Keeler added the third psychological channel used in modern polygraphs, skin resistance. He assumed that a lying person would sweat more than a truthful person, which would decrease skin resistance due to a higher concentration of negatively charged chloride ions on the surface of the skin. By adding an extra measure for detecting lies, scientists had hoped to decrease the probability of errors in the polygraph test. Since this addition, there have been no new underlying assumptions introduced to improve the polygraph. The polygraph's name can actually help us understand how it works. Poly means many, referring to the many sensors that are used by the machine to detect changes in the body. Graph means writing. Writing refers to the actual changes that are recorded on paper or on more modern machines, the digital readouts. Previously stated, a polygraph machine measures 3 indicators of arousal. Skin conductivity is measured through electrodes attached to the subject's fingertip. Cardiovascular activity is measured by a blood pressure cuff, and the depth and rate of respiration is measured by pneumographs that are wrapped around a subject's chest and abdomen. In most polygraph exams, the interrogator will first ask basic questions like, "Is your name Maura?" Then they will start to alternate between basic and target questions. A stress response such as slowing in breathing, increases in perspiration or heart rate and blood pressure could indicate that someone is lying. However, several questioning techniques are used in polygraph tests. The most widely used format for criminal investigations is the control question test. It compares responses to relevant questions such as, "Did you shoot your husband?" with those of control questions which concern offenses that are similar to those being investigated but refer to the subject's past and are usually broader in scope. For example, have you ever hurt anyone who was close to you? In theory, a truthful person is assumed to fear control questions more than relevant questions. This is because control questions are designed to arouse the subject's concern about their past truthfulness, while relevant questions ask about a crime they know they didn't commit. A pattern of greater psychological response to relevant questions than control questions leads to a diagnosis of deception. Greater response to control questions leads to a judgment of no deception. If no difference is found between relevant and control questions, the test result is then considered inconclusive. Widely employed polygraph procedure is called the guilty knowledge test. It involves a multiple choice test with knowledge that only a guilty subject could have. An example question would be, was $100, $1,000, or $10,000 stolen? If only a guilty suspect knows the correct answer, a larger psychological reaction to the correct choice would indicate deception. With a sufficient number of items, a sound evaluation could be developed. However, a GKT can only be used when investigators have information that only a guilty subject would know. Also, the interpretation of no deception might indicate lack of knowledge rather than innocence. But polygraph exams are not a 100% accurate way to tell whether or not someone is lying. One problem is that polygraph exams assume that someone emits a standard response when lying or being interrogated. Some people may have elevated signals simply because they are stressed out, while psychopaths can spew off lies without any problem. As Dr. Sachs and Israeli psychologist Gershon Ben Hashar note, it may, in fact, be impossible to conduct a proper validity study. In real-world solutions, it is very difficult to know what the truth is. Polygraph research has not separated placebo-like effects or the subject's belief in the efficacy of the test from the actual relationship between deception and their psychological responses. One reason that polygraph tests appear to be accurate is because subjects who believe the test works and that they can be detected no matter what may be more inclined to confess. People have also developed ways to beat the exam. These techniques or countermeasures include simple physical and psychological interventions, and the use of pharmaceutical agents that can alter arousal patterns. Some people have stuck a needle in their shoe that they would press down on when answering questions. While evidence indicates that these measures have proven effective, it does not ensure that someone will beat the exam. The bottom line is that there is no evidence that any pattern of psychological reactions is unique to deception. Therefore, a polygraph examination is not a scientifically sound way of indicating whether or not someone is telling the truth. Therefore, results from such tests cannot be brought into a court.